Hey guys, this is Ty with Instead of Working Gaming, and here we have An American Dream, a cute satire on American gun culture. I might say right out of the gate, this was my first PSVR pick, and I was extremely excited to play it. When you first load in as a baby who's given your first gun and asked to reload your weapon, the time slows, magazine comes flying up, and you swing your gun to catch the flying magazine. I'll admit, I felt exactly like Jet Li in the movie The One. It was an awesome first real experience with VR. Then continuing on, I found that the dog that talks, his humor was laugh out loud funny at times, as well as the levels had their own personal flair that initially had me excited for the next level over and over. Total blast. And add to the comedic stylings of the randomly talking dog, random little Captain America looking shields are hidden throughout the levels that you find and you shoot. It made for a nice thing to do as the dog talks, which he does a lot. More on that later. You continue traveling through the important stages of your life in this world that basically requires you to use your gun for everything. This was a lot of fun, and honestly, it was, but only to a point. Around the same time you were getting married, the game started to oddly lose all its luster for me. That was the first of many levels where all of a sudden my gun hand just started floating away. Not the type of floating away that if a quick shake will fix, but just floating farther and farther and farther and farther away. And that's fine had it not been a level that I needed both my hands to reload my weapon. This was just the beginning of my frustrations. These glitches kept coming, and every now and then, after 2 minutes, my hand would have gone so far that it popped back to normal, which was great. But most of the time, I had to turn off the Move controller and then turn it back on, which really took away from a lot of the immersion for me. This added with the fact that by this point, the dog's comedy had really become less funny, and more just annoyingly long rants about common life, such as how to make food, what a wedding ring is, how to wash a car. I guess if I'd never heard of a wedding, a baby, washing a car, or even food, it would have been interesting. But being a human, it just felt like a really strange thing to have put so much focus on. Then the end of the game takes an extreme turn. I won't spoil anything, but imagine if you were playing a Zelda game, and as about the time you know you're getting near the end of the game, all of a sudden, you're playing the final boss of a Resident Evil game. Just felt like the final levels were the end of a game I had not even played the first 80% of. Also, it was the end of a game I had no desire to play. Had I known better, I would have just set the game down at the halfway point and replayed the missions I enjoyed before all the glitches started, and the feeling that the second half of the game was just thrown together. So let's get these scores. The fun factor, I give it a 13. The first half is really what kept it afloat, and had the game been over at the halfway mark, it honestly would have scored way higher, as that's when the glitches came rolling in and the content just got plain weird. Immersion, 15. The feeling of riding a ride through history was present initially, but then when the story started getting weird and the glitches really common, it really took the feeling of a ride through time and turned it into more of a feeling of just sitting back at high school. Replay value, definite 12. Like I mentioned before, had the game ended at the halfway point, I would have been so excited to go back and replay those levels, try to find all the Captain America style shields, but as it ended up, when I did finally finish the game, I was so annoyed that it had gotten so weird, I just deleted it off my PlayStation, and I haven't felt like going back since. So again, the score would have been better had the game just ended halfway through. Motion sickness, 23. Believe it or not, a game where you're mostly sitting in a chair shooting things did have a couple of moments when you're on this straight, flat roller coaster of a chair, when you go through from transitioning level to level, little barrel of a gun. If you look to the side, you'd get that little twinge of, hey, there's a little bit of motion here. Other than that, totally fine. So in the end, I give American Dream a 63 on its firm scores. So, time for the most important part. How much is this game worth? For the value score, I give it a confident 10. If you're looking for a fun game for a couple hours of entertainment, I think it is a great buy for $10. Currently sitting at 20, but half the game just kind of wasn't fun at all. So I'm really just cutting that in half. Go through, if it ever hits under $10, absolutely buy it. Go have some fun, get to the halfway mark. They even tell you it's an intermission for the game. Just stop there, go back, replay those levels that you've already played, because beyond that point, it's just going to get odd. Thank you so much for watching, and we hope this helps you make an educated purchase on your next VR game. This has been Instead of Working Gaming, and now it's time to get back to work.